If you're interested in the drama and appeal of a red lip without the full commitment of a red lipstick, I'm pretty sure the secret is trying a red lip gloss. Today we're going to swatch and try on a whole lot of red lip glosses. And before making this video, I'm not actually sure I knew how much I loved wearing red gloss. Some of you requested seeing some red glosses, and I'm so glad you did, because I picked up a bunch for this video, and I ended up with some shades and formulas that I absolutely love. So let's go ahead and get into it. First, we have a gloss from e.l.f. Cosmetics. This is their Glow Reviver Lip Oil formula in the shade Red Delicious, and I've talked about this formula before, but in the more glimmery version. I think this is a great option if you're looking for an extremely sheer red lip. I was a little bit surprised by how sheer it is when I swatched it, but I do think you can see the pigment. So if an extremely sheer red is what you're going for, I think this is a good option. And I would say that you can actually see a little bit more pigment on the lips than you can in the swatch. Next, we have a gloss from Fille. This is their 3D plumping gloss, and this is the shade B04, and it's called Endu. Fille is a K-beauty brand that I've absolutely fallen in love with over the past year or so. The shades and the formulas are just so wonderful. And you'll see when I try this gloss on, I was not prepared for how beautiful this one is. I also want to say that I wasn't sure how I would enjoy wearing a shade this bright on my lips, but I think it works beautifully, and it's not a shade that I would typically like in a lipstick, but somehow it works as a gloss. And when I say that, I mean on my skin tone, because stark reds don't usually really work on me. I also want to mention that a lot of these shades have a very subtle shimmer to them, and that shimmer just gives them a touch more shine. Next, from Maybelline, we have one of their lifter glosses, and this is the shade Sweetheart. I actually haven't tried too many of the lifter glosses, but I know a lot of people love this formula. I would describe it as a light to medium opacity. This is a bright orangey red, and similar to the e.l.f., I was surprised by how pigmented it looked when I put it on the lips compared to when I swatched it on my hand. This is definitely a formula that I'm intrigued and interested in trying more of. Next, from NYX, we have one of their butter glosses, and this is the shade Rocky Road. I've talked about this formula a lot before because I'm so impressed by just how many shades NYX has in their butter gloss range. Now they have shimmery ones too, and this is a little bit of a deeper red. It's ever so slightly vampy. It's a good medium opacity. This is definitely a tone of red that I'm very comfortable wearing on my skin tone. I keep discovering new shades in the butter gloss line, and I'm so glad to have found this one. Next, we have a relatively new to me brand called Colorgram. They have one of their fruity glass tints. This is the shade called Lovely Raspberry. It's a K-beauty brand, and they have a lot of different lip product options. This is a very light and comfortable formula on the lips. It feels very watery when you apply it. I would describe it as being between medium and full opacity. I love how this glossy finish looks on my lips, but I also love that it leaves a bitten stain behind when the gloss fades away. I'm definitely intrigued to try more from this line in the future. I also want to mention that amongst all the brands that I'm talking about, they have some of the cutest packaging and aesthetics. Next, we have a gloss from the K-beauty brand Peri Para. This is another new to me brand, and this shade is so beautifully deep and vampy. It's called Made It, and it has a light to medium opacity. And on my skin tone, this is another comfort zone tone of red. I did build this shade up a little bit, but I think that if you wanted to, you could wear this shade a little bit more sheerly than I did. And next, from Revlon, we have one of their super lustrous lip balms. Fun fact about this formula, it went viral a couple of years ago, went discontinued, and then came back this year. This is their shade Cherry Luster, and it has a beautiful, very light opacity. It's an orangey red, and it looks very glassy and shiny on the lips. It's not a formula that's super long wearing, but I can understand why it's so popular. And this is super sheer, so if you're someone who's intimidated of wearing a red lip, I think this is a great option. And now we have an option from a Cbeautymall brand called Yoo-Hoo. This is another brand that I'm incredibly intrigued to try more from. This is an extremely pigmented lip balm, and I know I've talked about a few deep and vampy shades, but this is one of the deepest and vampiest shades that I've tried. And I've tried quite a bit of Cbeautymall over the past couple of years, and honestly, one of the things that's been so fun to see is how many options there are for alternative colors in Cbeautymall. And I really like this formula. It's buildable. It was maybe a little bit patchy when I applied it on the first swipe, but I was able to even it out, especially by just using my fingertip without any problems. And I think that if you're around my skin tone, for me, this is honestly a perfect day-to-day red. And now we have an option from Milani. This is their Fruit Fetish lip oil, and this is the shade Cherry Lime. I've talked about this formula before because they make a black lip oil that I also really like. I would describe this shade as having a light to medium opacity. It really is a beautiful option if you're going for a sheer red lip. In general, I'm very impressed with Milani. I love the fact that you can get such high quality products at such an affordable price point and at the drugstore. I personally would love to see even more shades in this line, especially some deeper and vampier red tones. And here's what all of the shades that I just talked about look like swatched on my arm. All of my labels are from the wrist down, so let's go ahead and get into the second set of red glosses. And starting off, we have another shade from e.l.f. This is the shade Cherry Bomb, and I would describe it as a medium opacity red gloss. And in comparison to the first shade I showed, it has a higher opacity. I want to say that this shade is only like $3 or $4. I just think that's so impressive. I think this gloss is really beautiful. I think I may like the way this looks on the lips even more than the lip oil that I tried earlier. Either way, I think both of these options from e.l.f. are really great. And I'm pleased with the pigmentation, especially after trying the glimmer oils, because I felt like those are pretty, but they're very sheer. And now we have a lip product from Terra, and this is actually a newer formula. I think they just recently came out with these glossy balms, and this is called the Waterism Glow Melting Balm in the shade 5 or Scotch Shot. I would describe it as a brick red. It's got a buildable medium opacity, and it has a subtle shimmer throughout. And Terra is a K-beauty brand, and they have become known for having a very inclusive shade range. And now we have an option from Glossier. They came out with the Black Cherry Balm earlier this year. I don't have any of the balm.coms because I had the perception that they weren't very pigmented, although this is a definite exception. I would say that these have a beautiful light to medium opacity. I do really wish I could have gotten my hands on the matching lip liner. As far as I know, that one's been sold out everywhere for quite a long time. And this shade gives an absolutely beautiful tint to the lips. It's not a formula that's overly shiny, so if that's a finish that you're going for, I think this is a good option. And now we have a shade from Wet n Wild. Wet n Wild is probably the most affordable brand I have here besides e.l.f. This is the shade My Cherry Amour. This is a beautiful medium opacity bright red gloss. I thought this looked so beautiful on the lips. I'm honestly so amazed how many great options there are for red glosses that are affordable at the drugstore. And I know that drugstore prices are creeping up, but there's several options here that are around that $5 or less price point. Now we have to talk about one of the Rituel Defeat Enchanted Lip Sheers. This is the shade Adler's Tongue. Unfortunately, I do think this shade is limited edition, but they do have several other options that are like this, namely the shade is Swarm. This formula has a slightly waxy feel to the lips. It has some good staying power. Over the past couple of years, this has come to be one of my favorite lip product formulas. And as the name implies, you can wear these quite sheerly, but you can also build them up for a pretty good medium opacity. I really love how nuanced the shades are from Rituel Defeat. Now from Fenty, we have one of their newer gloss bombs. This is the shade Cherry Amour, and unfortunately it is limited edition. They absolutely break my heart when it comes to their limited edition shades because they really are some of my favorite. Honestly, I found the whole cherry collection from Fenty to be so cute. Fenty has a ton of options when it comes to peachy and pinky tones, and really not so many when it comes to reds. I really love how pigmented and gently shimmering this shade is. As you may already know, I'm truly obsessed with gloss bombs, and I really hope to see that this becomes a permanent shade in their lineup. Now we have another option from Revlon. This is their super lustrous glimmer gloss. This is the shade Hot Honey. This is a beautiful light to medium opacity gloss that is pinky red in its base, and it has a golden sparkle throughout. And I do think it's nice to have a few non-limited edition glittery glosses that are red, because as far as I know, there aren't too many of them on the market. And the sparkle particles are medium size, so they are apparent on the lips. Now we have another relatively new to me red gloss. This is from the brand Wonderskin. I know they've become viral for their lip stains. Earlier this year, they came out with glittery glosses, and these glosses are so nice. This is a really beautiful shade. It's like a cross between a red and a fuchsia. It has a medium opacity, it's got pink sparkles, it feels very smooth on the lips. The packaging is super pretty. The glosses are a little bit pricey in the $22 to $23 range, but they're very pretty, and I'm excited to try more from the brand. And then last but not least, we have a shade from Girl Cult. I think this is the most unique shade that I'm going to show you, and I would say Girl Cult is particularly known for having unique shades, especially some alternative colors, ones that I'm super into. And this is a vampy red, and it's full opacity, and it's got beautiful sparkles in it. Honestly, I've never seen a shade quite like this one before. And at this point, it shouldn't surprise me because I feel like Girl Cult makes some of the most unique products in my collection, but they do really tend to blow me away. I do want to mention that their lip products are fragranced, so in case that's something that bothers you, it's just something to keep in mind. And here's what the second set of shades I just showed look like swatched on my arm. I think we have a great variety of red glosses to choose from. And I have to say, initially I wasn't planning on making a video on red glosses because I really don't have that many. I picked up a bunch of these in order to make the video, and I'm so glad that I did because I think these are so fun, and I really do think there's something here for everyone. So thank you so much for suggesting I make the video, and thanks for watching. I really hope you found this video helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.